Alright, howdy there folks, me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel, your guide into all things martial arts cinema related. Why? Because of course, folks, I, sexy man beast that I am, cough, I know brain stuff, Kung Fu, the wind up and then the pitch. Anyway, it's okay folks, go into a little thing here quick. First of all, I would like to mention, oh so quickly, that this is the sixth, count 'em, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, attempt to do this particular video right here. Why am I letting you know that? Because in attempt number 1, I had said that I was going to keep you folks abridged as to whichever number I was on at the time. I'm at number 6, sadly. And that hasn't been for lack of trying. That's in fact why this little segment thing that I'm doing here right now took me longer, because I tried and things just kept getting in the way. And so I had to push it back a week. So in any case, that's where I'm at. Hopefully it won't take any more than 6. This has been a fairly miserable going on my end for this. Maybe the rust is showing. Anyway, so what is this? I'm going to go into it real quick, so I'm going to try to get through it. In my previous review, I reviewed the 1980s version of the film Born to Fight, starring Master Panna Rittikrai, the late, great Master Panna. And I had said that I was going to kind of do this as, you know, a tribute to him, and that I was going to review some of his films. Thus far, I've only got to 1, but I legitimately intend to get into some of those. Excuse me, I have no idea what the hell is up with my throat right now, by the way. Like, I was perfectly fine up until I started trying to do the review. God. Anyway, so, with that said, in my review of Born to Fight, I had mentioned that I was going to do a special feature segment for the film. And if you're not familiar, and they're on my YouTube channel, for some films I do special features things. Gives me a chance to kind of nerd out about these films and the actors and some of the interesting fun facts that I happen to know about them. And it's really, I don't bother even posting them on like my Facebook page or anything like that. It really is more specifically for for the fans, the real fans, none of you poser fans. But in any case, the whole thing, the problem that I kind of ran into, one of the reasons why this took longer than I intended to, is that I realized I didn't really have, I'd said I was going to do that, but the reality was I didn't really have a ton to go off of as far as really doing a special features segment for that particular film was concerned, because if you're not aware, there's not really a ton of go-between like the Thai cinema industry and America. I don't know how it is, with other countries, but at least here, there's not a lot of films that you can get a hold of, Master Panna's, and there's not like a wealth of information. Most of what is available is his relation with, to Tony Jaa. So, I didn't want to just go into that whole thing, because I think it's been covered to death. God damn it, seriously, it's like just caught in there. Anyway, so the point that I'm trying to make was that, in deciding to do this, I really kind of debated whether or not I was going to end up doing one, but I'd said I was going to do something, and by God, damn it, I'm going to do it. So, even though if you're, viewer of my videos, I lie to my audience pretty frequently about my intentions. Well, I never lie about my intentions. I always lie about the follow-through. So in any case, I decided, since I couldn't really do traditional special features about Master Panna, I figured what I would do instead was as sort of like a little bit of a tribute, and still being able to kind of utilize some of my nerddom for these films. That what I would do is I would kind of in sort of like first grade report manner. I would do kind of a, what a Master Panna means to me type of thing. But more specifically, what I feel Master Panna means to martial arts cinema as an entity. What he has brought to the entirety of it. So, that's what this whole thing right here is going to be. If I don't die, because seriously, I have no idea what the hell is what the hell is in my throat right now. Anyway, so that's what this whole thing is going to be. So I'm going to get into it because I'm running a little over 5 minutes, and I'm hoping to keep this under 15. So, all right, what exactly am I talking about? What is the nonsense that's rattling out of my mouth? So when I think of Master Panna, the first thing that comes to my mind, outside of his affiliation with Tony Jaa, if I'm honest, isn't his acting career. Because, like I said, if you're in America, there's only a handful of films that you can get that are available of his. So I don't usually think in that regards. Instead, what I think of, although, he's directed films and stuff too, but honestly, for me, the thing that immediately comes to my mind, and the thing that I probably hold him in the highest regard for offhand, is as a choreographer. And as a choreographer is kind of how I'm going to approach this little thing that I'm doing here, and sort of what him as a choreographer has added to martial arts cinema, since basically, since his career started. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a little bit of a parallel for you folks, because I feel that it really does bear saying here, that when I think of martial arts choreographers who are undeniably, really one of the most important features, in the machine of any good great martial arts movie. I'm back. When you think about that, when you think about martial arts choreographers and, their role in cinema, it is wildly substantial, to say the least. Because, when it comes down to it, martial arts films aren't just getting two guys to go over there and knock the crap out of each other on film. That's just not how it goes. And there's a long and valiant history as far as, martial arts cinema is concerned. But I'm not going to go into all that. Like I said, I'm going to create a parallel. So when you think of martial arts cinema and you think of great choreographers, the one that undoubtedly, at least for me, and I would imagine anybody who really has, a similar level of knowledge that comes to mind, is the late, great Master Lau Kar-Leung. And, who, unfortunately, just not too long ago passed away as well. And why didn't I do a tribute for him? Because he passed away before I was doing this video. So I will, in all likelihood, do a tribute for him at some point. But in any case, if you're not aware, I'm just do a real quick thing. I did bring him up in my One-Armed Swordsman review. He was a guy who was choreographer, famous for working with Shaw Brothers primarily, but after Shaw kind of shut down more or less, he continued his career. He worked Golden Harvest, and I mean his role in martial arts cinema is beyond staggering. It just is. God, just been blathering on about nothing, more or less. But in any case, so why am I bringing up Master Lau Kar-Leung? Because he's certainly not Master Panna. The reason why I bring him up, aside from the fact that I really do feel that these two are two of the highest caliber martial arts cinema choreographers. And let me tell you folks, if I hold you within the realm of Master Lau Kar-Leung, that is some serious kudos on my part. And I would imagine anybody who has a similar level of knowledge would probably say the same thing. And I really do feel that Master Panna fits into that role. But going beyond that, the reason why I create the parallel between the two is because in regards to what Master Lau Kar-Long helped create for martial arts cinema choreography in Hong Kong throughout, the 60s and the 70s and, pretty much continuously throughout his career is kind of, in a similar way, what I feel Master Panna did for the Thai film industry, in that, albeit there's some things there. Like I said, I wish I could just go in and blather on and on and on, but I'm going to try to keep this somewhat short. Certainly Master Panna, I guess I'll just iterate this point real quick. Master Panna certainly working off the shoulders of what Lau Kar-Long did. Whereas Lau Kar-Long really was seminal in the formation of martial arts cinema choreography as we now know it. Master Panna doesn't quite get that level of credit for it, but what he did do was he sort of reinvented it, I guess you could say, for a more modern format. Now, of course, I'm not going to give him all the credit in the world for that, because, there are other people, obviously, who were involved in everything, but when you look at the work that he did for the choreography for Ong Bak, Tam Yung Gung, and, any of Tony's films, or any of his films, Bangkok Adrenaline, damn it, not Bangkok Adrenaline, Bangkok Knockout, which you haven't seen. If you haven't seen, by the way, check that out. That was Master Panna's last acting role, and boy, oh boy, is that just a absolute feast for martial arts choreography. It is just, it's not the best film in the entire world, but boy, oh boy, for just ass-kicking effect, it is fantastic. In any case, and like I said, it is Master Panna's last on-screen appearance. He plays one of the villains, which is pretty badass. But again, parallels, damn it, stay focused. Master Lau Kar-Long, what he did in going over there in in his, sort of during his era, was, wasn't just, like I said, because martial arts choreography, it wasn't a set thing, it's a constantly evolving aspect of martial arts cinema, and there's all different ways to take it, countless, probably not countless, but certainly quite a few, and, Master Lau Kar-Long, in doing what he did, was he found ways to continuously make it and keep it relevant within, the modern cinema of what was going on, because when martial arts cinema choreography started out, it was largely very simple, it was, basically take a guy, who was good looking, maybe, athletic to a certain extent, or a lady who was, good looking, generally athletic, and basically, teach him a few basic punches and kicks and stuff like that. Just enough that, you could kind of sell it on screen. And, and that's sort of, that's really all it took. It, wasn't, I still love it for what it was, but it wasn't overly complex. But he moved from that, once that kind of played itself out, he found ways to reinvent it to keep it interesting, and going more into, traditional Chinese martial arts, and, he was always able to help kind of formulate, and be a significant part of whatever the theme was of the style of the choreography of the day. And again, I know I'm just blathering it. It's very hard to. I'm effectively trying to go through decades worth of history in a 15-minute time period, which will not be the case. But screw you, I don't care. In any case, so my fans. Anyway, so what I'm going on about is that when you look at what Master Rittikrai did, you know, like I said, he managed to keep it relevant, managed to keep it exciting. And yes, he wasn't solely the only person. I know. Well, nobody's gonna call me out. Why do I ever say anybody's gonna? No one ever calls me out. No one ever comments or likes my videos. But, you know, for sake of, you know, my own ego, I guess, maybe I'll call myself on it. I'll just start commenting on my own films, calling myself out for my dumbass bullshit. Your videos suck! Stop rambling like a moron. Stop addressing the camera. Anyway, but yes, when you look at what Master Panna did, he took what was there and, you know, the theme of kind of what had been going on, and he found a way to modernize it again. It's always a context of trying to find new ways to modernize it, be they good or bad. Let me really emphasize that point. It is not. A step forward is not always a step in the right direction, folks. But in Master Panna's case, and this is the meat of what I've been trying to get to, what Master Panna's impact really is for me is that if you look at kind of a timeline of effectively before and after Ong Bak, it was kind of like, okay, we're doing our things over here, we're doing our things over here, and then you get to Ong Bak. And then, all of a sudden, almost immediately, the entire martial arts cinema community stopped on a dime and said, that's the direction we need to start going in. You know, we need to start doing, you know, first of all, let's pull way the hell back on the wire foo here, folks. Master Panna needs a fucking Nobel Peace Prize, if for that alone. For pulling back on the wirework stuff. But, it went over there. He managed to, create this, maybe not exactly new, but there's certainly a new style, a new take on more modern choreography. And I'm not just talking, let me just briefly go into the, I'm not talking about, the use of Muay Thai or, Muay Boran or, those specific styles. That's not what I'm talking about. He brought a level of, of articulation, but at the same time, this just head-smashing style, where it managed to simultaneously, look incredibly cool and do these things that obviously no, human being who wasn't, very well trained could do this stuff, but at the same time still give it like this grit and this impact, and was able to really bring these things together in such a way that it was just, I think it was astonishing, and it, like I said, I really do think that the martial arts cinema community really stopped on a dime, and all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, this is what we need to start doing. And, from this, you ended up with films like Undisputed 2 and Undisputed 3, who, that, kind of have a similar feel to some of the Ong Bak stuff. And, and really just kind of continuously throughout, and it was about making it better and more exciting, but at the same time, still keeping it within that element of, kind of, sort of a, I guess, a blue-collar nature to a certain extent, which is kind of a weird way to put that, but it wasn't an issue of, even when you had people who were trained in, more classical styles and stuff, it was just this heavy impact style, and it almost managed to kind of combine, I guess you could say, sort of like Lau Kar Leung style, sort of his Shaolin, classical martial arts style, and then, you know, almost like the follow-up style, which was kind of more kickboxing oriented, that you had like sort of in the 80s and 90s, where on the one hand you had, you know, this articulation, but at the same time he managed to combine that level of articulation, that level of evident skill, with at the same time with that high energy, very, you know, high impact style of the kickboxing stuff. And he was able to find a way to perfectly match these together in a way that I don't really think that anybody had done so before, or at least not to that extent. You know, you kind of got one or the other. It was generally an issue of, you know, you were, on the one end, going to get very skilled people doing very skilled stuff that looked awesome, but at the same time, you know, sometimes, you know, not personally for me, but I've discussed it with other people, fans of the genre, who felt that, you know, it was a bit too flowery. Because, you know, you would see them do these power moves and these big elaborate things and stuff, and, you know, some fans don't feel that that really represents martial arts well, because, you know, you're generally not going to jump into a flip kick to go, you know, knock the shit out of somebody. And, like I said, to a certain extent, you know, you would lose, sometimes, maybe not all the time, but you would lose a certain amount of intensity when you would display martial arts like that. And then at the same time, when you had the sort of, like I said, kickboxing influence style, it was very fast, you know, much faster. It was, you know, high impact. But at the same time, one of the criticisms, again, other people would bring up is the fact that, you know, there was a lack of articulation. You know, it seemed like it seemed like an advanced level street brawl, more than, you know, than really being definitively, you know, a specific, like, martial arts fight. And Master Panna, like I said, he managed to merge these two things together in a way where, if you're a fan of the more, you know, traditional kind of form-based styles and things like that, well, you're going to get that. And at the same time, if you're more a fan of the fast-moving, heavy impact stuff, we're going to get that too. And I really cannot emphasize how significant that has been to the martial arts cinema choreography subsequently. Like I said, I mean, I'm not going to say that every single you know, film, you know, has taken that approach. Certainly that's not the case. But it really ushered in his, if I could go to one final point, what he did, what he and Tony and what all that Thai stuff managed to do, was it instantly ushered in an entire new age of martial arts cinema and martial arts cinema stars. You know, because, yeah, you had guys like Scott Adkins doing what they did. And, you know, Michael Jai White, you know, again, to go off, you know, the Undisputed thing. Do I think that you would have had Undisputed the way that you would have had it, Undisputed 2, as it were, and subsequently Undisputed 3, do I think you would have had that if Master Panna and Tony hadn't done, you know, Ong Bak and all that? No, I don't. I'm not going to say that I don't think, you know, that they wouldn't have had careers or anything, but I don't think that you would have had that, because, again, if you look at their work prior to, it didn't, you know, it was still cool. You know, I'm not begrudging it, but again, I'm rambling. But anyway, I can't help it, folks. I really can't help it. Like, I'm trying to find ways to cut it down, and I just can't. I really can't. There's so much to go into. But again, the point, you know, that I've been trying to make, painfully, is the fact that there is effectively martial arts cinema choreography. Again, the timeline thing. There is effectively pre and post Panna Rittikrai. That can be said for very, 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 very few individuals. And again, you know, you might love Master Panna for his on-screen work, and I mean, hey, I do too, but there are a lot of people who've done on-screen work when you look at it, and there's very few of them who really have had a substantial impact on the genre. But when you take a look at behind-the-scenes people, I guess you could say, there's even fewer who have drastically changed the landscape of things and set the tone for years to come. That is utterly remarkable. That is why, like I said, that's why I personally think, when I think of Master Panna, I largely think of, you know, the choreography work. Not because I don't love the stuff that he did on screen, not that I don't love the stuff that he did as a director, but because his impact, you know, as a director, his films are, you know, they're fine. I enjoy them. I would not say that he's, you know, an astonishing director. He's a fine director. As far as his stuff on screen is concerned, it's mostly, like I said, it's mostly B movies and stuff like that. They're fun, and certainly they deserve more respect than they get. You know, just for some of the things that, you know, these guys would do to themselves back in those days. But again, if that were it, if that were in totality what Master Panna had brought, would he be somebody who I'd be talking about right now? Probably not, you know, maybe, and certainly not in the same capacity and with the same amount of reverence. You know, in going over there and doing what he did for martial arts choreography, you know, he elevated it. And, you know, and it wasn't just an issue of, like, going in a different direction. You know, plenty of people have done different directions, and not all of it works, to say the least. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that, you know, because it didn't work that it's bad. That's not the case. But there are, you know, lots of examples of people trying new things, and it, you know, really just sort of doing its own thing, and it's kind of off in its own little corner. In the case of Master Panna and, you know, the Thai cinema industry, the, you know, martial arts cinema industry anyway, what they did wasn't just an issue of creating a new genre of martial arts choreography style. They elevated it as a cinema entity. They brought it to a higher level because, you know, and like I said, that's not to speak, you know, derogatorily of anything that existed prior to, but it went over there, all of a sudden, it set a bar, it set a new bar and said, if you're not this awesome, you don't get to ride, okay? You cannot keep going over there, even though they do to a certain extent, but you can't keep going over there and just taking, you know, worthless, good-looking pop stars and putting them in front of the screen and, you know, oh, well, they can fight. No, they can't fight, damn it. Though, to be fair, yes, some of them actually can. I'm not, you know, going to hate on them entirely, but, you know, and it went over there, it set a new standard. It went over there and said, look, if you're going to go over there and do this shit, if you're going to put out martial arts films, maybe, just maybe, instead of doing wire work, it's CG and, you know, again, pop stars and this whole asinine way that we've been doing things for the last 5-10 years or so. Maybe, just maybe, we should focus on the fucking people who can do this shit. People who are legitimately skilled and talented. You know? The people who've really put in, you know, the work. Who aren't just people who took, you know, 6-month classes to go over there and get ready for the film. And he went over there, and in doing this, and I know I'm just going into it right now, but I'm going to do that. In doing that, all of a sudden, it elevated things. You know, again, going off other things, you know, I love Donnie Yen, but if you look at Donnie Yen, you know, he certainly had his place, and I'm not gonna say that, you know, his career subsists entirely based off, you know, I guess the theme that Master Panna set down, because I wouldn't say that his particular style for most of his films is specifically representative of Master Panna's. But again, do I think that you would have had a guy like him who was sort of a B-list guy, really, for most of his career? All of a sudden, he goes over there, he does that whole thing, and all of a sudden it's like, you know, he does Killzone and he does some of the other things, and all of a sudden he's really more on everybody's radar. And again, when you look at, you know, if you look at the film Killzone, which came out around the time that Ong Bak did, you know, you had, it wasn't an issue of, you know, let's go over there and get some pop stars to go make this film. You know, it was, let's get Donnie Yen, let's get Wu Jing, let's get Sammo Hung. Let's get people who really know what they're doing. And if for no other reason than that alone, that makes Master Panna and his work so significant. Because again, I do not think you would have had people like this, you know, at least not on the international level the same way that you have it now, which now it's become this, you know, this entity that's just building onto itself. Instead of going over there and, you know, working with people, you know, these stars and stuff like that, you know, quote unquote action stars, you know, instead of going over there and, you know, working with, you know, Stallone, you know, no offense to Stallone or anything, I'm just using him as an example. Instead of going over, you know, here, Tom Cruise, there's a good example. Instead of going over there and working with a guy like Tom Cruise, you know, if you're Scott Adkins, if you're Marco Zaror, if you're, you know, any of these guys, you know, if you look at things, it's not an issue of like, I mean, hey, I'm sure they'd still love to work with the guy, but it's not so much an issue of like, hey, we gotta, you know, if we want to eat, we gotta be in this film with this, you know, 4-foot-tall midget and pretend to get the shit kicked out of him, even though in real life we could wreck the guy. It's like, no. They're over there now, and they're saying, look, you can kick ass, I can kick ass, why the fuck are we getting our asses kicked on screen by this idiot? You know, and again, not to, you know, entirely hate on Tom Cruise, you know, but it's, like I said, just more of an example. But it's less a thing of that. It's, these days, it's an issue of like, hey, I'm Wu Jing, you're Scott Adkins, I'm Vincent Zhao. What if we go over there and do a movie together? Because we kick ass, and we don't have to go, like I said, I'm just gonna go into this. 15 minutes, my ass. This is the passion, folks, the passion. And that's what Master Panna did. And, you know, like I said, I'm not saying that, you know, he hasn't, you know, that everything comes back to him, you know, but yes, to a certain extent, it does in a modern light. You know, again, if you look at what was kind of done before that, it was sort of in a bit of a lull, in my opinion. And when he went over there, when they did what they did over in Thailand, and went over there and exported it to the world, it made, not only did it make martial arts cinema significant again, it went over there, it all of a sudden just made it possible for all of these people. If you were, you know, a guy who could do this stuff, you didn't have to be just a stunt guy who was going to get the shit kicked out of you in films. It was like, hey, I actually know what I'm doing. Maybe I could be the guy. And, you know, and all of a sudden it was just this thing, and you had this giant explosion of talent. And when you look at the people who've come out of things just by being in association with Master Panna and his films, I mean, aside from Tony Jaa, okay, let's go ahead and, you know, put the pedestal away, you know, that is Tony Jaa. Let's maneuver him just over here real quick. Let's go into some of this. Dan Chupong, Jia Yanin, Mike B, if you've never heard of him, he only did 2 films, but they're actually pretty cool. Brave is actually a pretty solid film. Sanctuaries, it has some cool stuff in it, though. You can get it for like $3, I'm pretty sure. Check it out. You know, Tom Young-goon, okay, right? Nathan Jones was around, but the guy had never starred in a film before, and then he got to star in Muay Thai Giant as a result of that film. Lateef Crowder was essentially brought to the world. I mean, yes, he did some YouTube videos and stuff, but as a film entity through Tom Young-goon. John Fu, Johnny Wen, and then subsequently it's a whole Kevin Bacon spiderweb effect where it's like, okay, you have Johnny Wen, but then, alright, well then he went on and he did, The Rebel, and, Dustin Wen, and, his wife, whose name I cannot recall off the top of my head, but she does her thing too, maybe not quite the same way, but, so you have that, and it's been this whole thing, and it's become this interconnected entity in a way that it never was before, even in the best of days. In the Hong Kong era, it was always the Hong Kong guys and everybody else. It was never an issue of like, hey, you're awesome, I'm awesome, we should collaborate. It was an issue of the Hong Kong guys being like, hey, we're awesome, and because we're good guys, we'll let you be awesome with us. It was never that, and then you had the American guys and you had the Hong Kong guys and they were doing their things. But these days, that's not the case. It's increasingly becoming an issue of like, let's just take these awesome guys and chicks and everything and let's have them just do awesome stuff together. And it'll be amazing. And that's what Master Panna did. I don't think he figured that was going to be his impact, but that's honestly been it. Again, it became an issue of let's cut through the bullshit. Let's actually have people who are awesome just do awesome shit. Do you know how significant that is? The entirety of modern martial arts cinema is hinged on this fact. It's so much of it. Again, just the Kazu Patrick Tang and just so many people. So many people. Tim Mann. I mean, I could go on all of these people. And again, just effectively the modern era of martial arts cinema owes a debt of fucking... I don't know what America's debt is presently. I'm sure it's something like 80 fucking sextillion dollars right now. But I guarantee you, it does not compare to what the martial arts cinema community owes Master Panna Rittikrai and his films. And, and what he brought. Because without him, there probably wouldn't be a Tony Jaa. There never would have been an Ong Bak. And without that... Again, would you have had Undisputed 2, Undisputed 3? Probably not. Would you have had, Ninja 2? You might have had Ninja 2s. I'm not sure if Ninja 1 came out. I think Ninja 1 came out after, but in any case, even if you would have had it, would have been at the same level? Probably not, because you wouldn't have had the same level of people involved in this, I don't think. I really don't. And like I said, I'm not trying to, completely hinge everything. I'm sure, some of this would have existed. But do I think it would have been as good? No. I really don't, because it isn't just an issue of being awesome and being one of these guys who can kick ass and do this whole thing. That's great. That's a huge part of it. But fundamentally, you have to be able to go over there and bring that to a larger scale. And that is something very, very few people have been able to do. And Master Panna, I really do think, has been one of the only modern guys to be able to do that. Because, when I think about in a modern capacity, people who run a similar line to him, the only person I can think of off the top of my head is, aside from, maybe Tony Jaa to a certain extent, because he does choreography and stuff too, but really the only person that comes to mind is like Isaac Florentine, and again, I think that to a certain extent he owes a certain debt to that style as well. And again, that's not to take away from Isaac Florentine. The guy's fucking amazing what he does. So, like I said, I know this was only going to be 15 minutes, and now it's 40, but I don't care. Ha ha ha! Anyway, so yes, that's, I guess, what Master Panna means to me is damn near everything. If it hadn't been for him, I don't think that I would have been into this the way that I am now. Because I liked martial arts. I liked martial arts film beforehand, but it wasn't until things really kind of got rolling for me that it allowed me to go from that into other things, into, wuxia films and kickboxing films and all that, that was kind of my hinge point for me. That was my gateway, really. And, so for me, he means, at least in terms of, my enjoyment, my love of martial arts cinema, he means almost everything. And that's saying a lot, but that's the God's honest truth. And, like I said, I mean, hey, I'm sure that, other people would think I'm crazy for thinking that, maybe he has this level of significance, and to those people I say, no, fuck you. I have a YouTube channel. I do 40 plus minute special features, so kiss my ass. But that's what it comes down to, folks. And like I said, there are so few people who've had the level of impact, and I don't know when we're going to see somebody else like that again. I really don't. I have hopes for certain people, but I don't know. It remains to be seen. And again, I don't know that it'll have the same level of impact, because we're kind of already there. But, it has to be an issue of you have to have these driving force people. It can't be just an issue of, well, I have a good choreography. That's fine, it's great, like I said. But you have to have these driving force people who are always pushing the envelope. And, trying new things and, trying to take it, to elevate it. Again, that elevation thing. And, with, again, the sad passing of Master Rittikrai, the, recent passing of Master Panna Rittikrai, there aren't too many people left who I would say are at that, around that level. And I honestly don't know if I would say at that level. Again, for as much as I love some of these choreographers, I know some people would probably throw out, like, Yuan Wu Ping. I'm sorry, folks. I love me some Yuan Wu Ping, but I love classic Yuan Wu Ping. Most of his recent stuff has not been great choreography. Though, to be fair, Man of Tai Chi was surprisingly good. I actually enjoyed that a lot. But in any case, I'm going to end this more or less now. So that's what it means to me. And yes, I know I blattered on, but I don't care, folks. And, maybe you enjoyed some of these blatherings onings that I went into. Because, like I said, is Master Panna going to be held with the same level of esteem that Master Rittikrai was? Sadly, probably not. And not because he was any less significant, just because that's just, the nature of how it is. But, again, does that lessen in any way, shape, or form the impact that, Master Panna has had on the landscape of martial arts cinema? No, not even a little bit. It doesn't even come close to diminishing it. And so I guess that's kind of, that's the point, is that, Master Panna passed away much too young. Much too young. And, just when you think of everything that could have been, all the projects he could have done, it's a giant kick in the teeth if you're a fan of the genre, to imagine the things that he could have done that are unfortunately, obviously never going to come to pass now. But, I guess that's the thing, is that when, if nothing else, you can, at the very least, if you're a fan, you can at least take away the fact that what he managed to accomplish, is something that I don't know if anybody ever truly accomplished beforehand. Again, in that, just sort of what he did brought about a globalization of the genre that had never existed before. At least not in the same way. And, that is something, like I said, if you're a fan, that is something that you can take away, and, as sad as his passing really is, you can hold that close to you and say, holy shit, this is something drastically significant that he brought to the world. This is, and, look, I'm not saying that, the guy cured cancer or anything like that, though wouldn't it be a giant kick in the face to everybody if, you can just knee cancer into submission. But no, that's what he did. He brought it about in a way that he brought about really a new era of martial arts cinema, golden age, sort of comic books, Bronze Age and all that and everything. He is in a lot of ways responsible for that, and that is tremendously significant in a way that, again, I think bypasses, it surpasses, his other achievements, his films and things like that, just that as an entity. But in any case, so yes, because this has gone much longer than I had intended. So okay, that's my summation, and my summation of the summation of the summation of the summation. So, okay. Usually in these things I like to say what film I'm going to do next. I do not exactly know. I have a couple ideas, but I'm not going to go into it just yet. Hopefully I will have those sometime, maybe Saturday. We'll see what I'm doing. But in any case, so, wow, I didn't prepare. I do not have normally I have a list of movies that I come up with an ending for. Alright, so, because, when the twins effect happens, you have to have Bangkok adrenaline running through your veins, otherwise the Night Hunter will bring you to the kill zone. For all those reasons and more, folks, because this is almost 48 minutes long, I'm Brandon Wenzel. I review martial arts filmed movies. I blather on like an idiot, but it's well-deserved, damn it. Rest in peace, Master Panna. I hope that this awful thing that I've done here is in any way the saddest tribute ever, and that your tributes only grow exponentially. I'm Brandon Wenzel. I do these things because I'm crazy and I love them. And because, of course, folks, I know Kung Fu. Alright, folks, that's the end. I'm going to go ahead and upload this now. Bye!